Hey guys, this is RuRoniK95 here, and it is time for the manga reading log video for the month of March. And I'm back here once again, baby, for another video because I wanted to do something particularly. So, I have been reading manga books recently, particularly, that I wanted to read something like this, though, because I wanted to do something that I haven't thought of doing one like this, which I should have done until now, particularly. I picked 10 of these manga titles, 10 books from my manga collection, particularly. So, let's dive into the video. Let's begin. The first one here, I'm going to start off with here. I have been wanting to reread this manga because this is going to make me a manga reader, and that is You Haku Show. This is particularly one of my favorite series that is basically from the manga creator Yoshihiro Togashi, who later created Hunter x Hunter as well. However, particularly this time when this takes where it's left off after volume 2 has been finished off on here as well. Particularly this, how it's gotten to the case though. I mean, what can I say? Because I've always wanted to read something like this, though. I mean, this is the whole arc on the Spirit Detective arc on this particular series, from what I know. Especially of how when Koema basically wanted to ask that Yusuke Urameshi basically might track those down to recover those 3 dark treasures, especially in this one as well, particularly. Of what I really must say about the Yu Hakusho manga in this particular way as well. And I might have well, especially of how it can come across particularly well. And this also this one has its moments overall, particularly what I can come across for this as well, of how I wanted to figure out a way as well, especially when Kurama wanted to see his mother, who was in the hospital ever since she had those scars on her shoulders, particularly. And at this point, though, is that, yeah, especially at this moment as well, yeah, this one is more different, kind of unlike the anime adaptation. But this manga, however, it's got to my case, though. Yeah, because I must say about Yu Haku Show, in my opinion, because this is considered my favorite shonen series from Yoshihiro Togashi. And another manga that I just read, particularly, and I just want to figure out a way, and this is time, I want to read this as well. That is something new in my own little leaps and bounds kind of thing. That is Fist of the North Star. This is the 3rd volume, by the way, because I must say about the Fist of the North Star manga, because I know this is going on in Fist of the North Star, particularly, is where, despite that this series takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, though, yeah, because, what can I say? I love the series. In my opinion, Fist of the North Star has basically my favorite manga series from Buronson and Tetsuo Hara. Despite that, this series has some of the adaptations on there. And what can I say? This series is more of how I wanted to come across for this as well. this is the big reason why I must say for this as well. And yeah, because I know this is happening in that. Of how this progresses happening in the manga, though. Especially when Kenshiro was beating off those enemies with those pressure points with his fists by causing the enemies' heads and bodies explode and the blood and all that. No matter how brutal this gets, especially if you ever seen one like this than before in any other manga that I have ever read. Like most mangas, we also have the introduction of the character Rei in that one particularly. Yeah, because who does the Nanto, where he basically uses his hands basically whenever he can kills his enemies, like Sushi Bits with when he does like this and then those when and then basically his enemies get killed when Rei does like this as well. Especially if you ever read the original Fist of the North Star manga, because what can I say particularly? I must say, and then we have the introduction to the character Mamiya in the Fist of the North Star manga before it was later on in the TV series, though, because this how it's gotten into my case, though. But however, the manga you can throw in any time, though, because what can I say? I really loved this series, in my opinion, because I really admired it, because even though because this is all new for me, because however the manga adaptation at least is better than the crap ass live action movie with Gary Daniels. However, the manga maybe get into the glory for this. Well, the anime you can throw in any time, though, because that's just getting into my case, though. And finally, another manga that I just read particularly, and I wanted to know something for this here, and that is Ranma 1/2. This is volume 6 of this series, by the way, because I just wanted to read something like this as well, particularly. Yeah, because I know this is happening of what's going on in the Ranma 1/2. Especially in this one, especially where Rama wanted to stop Haposai from stealing like women's underwear and all. Because even though Haposai is like an old perverted old man stealing women's underwear in that manga as well. Especially of how this has all ever occurred to any of this as well. Especially in the chapters such as the bathhouse battle. And particularly, though, of how this is how it's gotten into the thing, though. Oh, as far as I know, particularly. As nothing ever occurred to any of this. This is something as far as I know as well. Yeah, because I know something right about how I wanted to come across of how what I wanted to realize for the fact of how I wanted to know for about Rama 1/2 as well, because this particularly how it was to be all, because I had to reread the Rama one-half manga because despite how it's glorious, how it goes, particularly of whatever I could come across it as well. In case you're wondering, because that's the thing, though. And another manga that I just finally read, I think this is the one particularly of how I wanted to do something as well, and that I haven't read like this until now, and that is Saint Young Men. And by the way, I'm reading volume 12 recently, though, because I just wanted to figure out particularly, because I do know what's happening in the space, no, Saint Young Men. For of all that, like most mangas, Space Young Men, particularly, of how their everyday life of Jesus and Buddha as roommates, particularly, how their slice of life kind of events around happening as well, particularly like of how this is more different than most slice of life novel mangas as what in general, particularly. I mean, this ever occurred as well, particularly as what I can come across for this, particularly of what I could realize to be learning over the fact as well. However, this one did got an English translated version in English on my how I could come across particularly why as well. And another manga that I just reread as well, as I wanted to do this particularly, and that is Fruits Basket. By the way, this is volume 16 because I just read this one because this is like your typical shoujo manga, though. However, this new chapter, basically how it happens in particularly where Shoma's family story, of how the true rumors, how it's occurred, especially of how she met about Kyo met Kyoko during those past days as well, when she told him of how she met Toru's father, of how, especially from the birth and the truth about her mother and father, of how Yuki's declaration of independence, of how this is going on, whatever occurs in the manga, though. I must say, particularly, like most shoujo manga, Fruits Basket is the reason of how it's got the attention as well, as what I can come for that as well. Like like many mangas in general, according to this, usually to point out as well of how I wanted to know for this as well, because this is how it's got to my theory, though. And another manga that I just finally read, and I really wanted to know for this as well, is that this is something that I wanted to show you that I finally get to read for the first time, and that is Revolutionary Girl Utina, Volume 2. This is the second volume, by the way. I had to read this one. I never knew about this. However, if you don't know, in the story in Revolutionary Girl Utina, it's basically how a little girl has, in this volume, is how this little girl was rescued from the raging river by her prince when he tells her to grow up to be a strong and noble, when she wanted to strive to grow up to be the prince just like him. When Utina has followed the clues left to her prince on the exclusive Otori Academy, where she wanted to fight the duels for the power to revolutionize the world, when she never understand the crane rules and goals, if it leads up to her prince, when she's willingly to do anything, but whenever she ends up becoming engaged to another girl, well, particularly of how, what can I say? I This is an admiring story, because even though that this has how it came across as well, particularly, I mean, about Revolutionary Girl Lucina, this is how it's all new to me, though, is that I have never read this one before until now. I mean, I consider this to be my second favorite. I would put this on the par with the Rose of Versailles, because, however, Rose of Versailles is my favorite, but you could throw this one any time, though, for Revolutionary Girl Lucina as well. However, I think I like this manga adaptation more than the anime, because I'm introduced to the manga adaptation of this as well. Well, the anime you have to be in the mood for, but this you could throw in any time as well. However, this was done by mangaka artist who worked on the shoujo manga, who's teamed up with the director of the Sailor Moon anime, when they basically, how they created the Revolutionary Girl Utina manga as well. I didn't know that. However, this one is a lot more different than the Rose of Versailles, though. And even though, basically, this is how it's gotten to my reasons why Revolutionary Girl Lucina is basically how I have got into all of this as well. Yeah, because this is how I want to learn over the fact as well. Yeah, because this is the most interesting manga that I have ever read as well, because this how more truthfully be as well, especially for a classic series like this. I mean, this how this manga, how it's introduced to that as well, of what I can realize for that as well, of what I know for about the thing about the Rose of Versailles, because that's how I wanted to do this as well. And another manga that I just read, I have never actually found this one, and this time I really wanted to do something that I introduced before as well, and that is Reborn. This, in my opinion, I definitely know what's happening in Reborn, is that basically from... However, there was a lot more this as how it came across for this as well, because this is another manga series that I have been introduced, particularly because once I first read this, I was amazed, and I never knew there's a lot more produced for the manga, like Reborn as well. There were versions of these in English under Shonen Jump Advance. Apparently, basically, they stopped making finishing the volumes on here. Like, they were attempt to, like, complete those as well. Because the English translated versions ones were canceled, though, particularly as well as that. It seems to know for that is how I wanted to come across about for this as well. But then again, just to consider of how, because I don't know what's happening in Reborn, though, because this is like your typical, like, however, this is serialized in Jump comics as well, because this basically how it's gotten into the thing as well, because I basically never know about this as well, because if I could read more on Reborn manga in Japanese on there, hopefully I could when I get more volumes of them as well. And another manga that I just also read for the first time, I got another one that I just got into the whole thing for this as well, and that is Itome Sushi Shokun in Kirara no Shigoto. This is basically another one of those manga titles that deserves to get more attention for manga readers, though, is that this how it's gotten to me, though, is that you just got how I know this is happening in the Itome Sushi Shokun and Kirara no Shigoto, is that they are these culinary sushi makers of how they made the sushi. Some of them may use like salmon or fish. Yeah, because that's how they wanted to do this. Because if you ever read manga like this as well, you'll probably want to know this as well, especially about how they made the sushi, especially for how they use the fish. And as some, well, in order to make some with salmon. Yeah, especially of how sushi makers make this as well, particularly of how you could come across for this as well, especially for a manga series like this. However, this manga was serialized in, couldn't figure out. I always thought for this as well. Yeah. There's a lot more to come across for this. Oh, Super Jump Comics. So it's not to be confused with Shonen Jump as well. Jump Comic Subs. Oh yeah, Super Jump Comics. However, this is actually one of those manga titles that were serialized in Super Jump Comics as well. Like there's, well, as like most manga though, Itome Sushi Shokun and Kirara no Shigoto has basically, or whatever you want to pronounce it in Japanese though, yeah, because this is like a sushi manga, like culinary sushi masters of how they made the sushi in this manga. This how it's gotten to the thing, my case for this as what I can understand. And another manga that I just read, and I think this is the one, though, is that I really wanted to reread this one here, and that is Oh My Goddess. This is particularly one of the most important series from mangaka artist Kosuke Fujishima, who's the creator of You're Under Arrest, though, particularly of how he made this one. However, in this manga, particularly, of how there was some traditional Japanese customs about dedicating a woman, how they made homemade chocolates for her love on Valentine's Day when she vows to make a Valentine's Day to remember, when the troublemakers, like specific ones like Erd and Mara, toss themselves into the mix of how the instant hot chocolate, of how it's not as hot as the situation for what Keiichi is in, when the third goddess splashes into the life of how Belle Dandy's younger sister, genius named Skuld, arrived in that one. However, this manga is more different than the original anime OVA or the Oh My Goddess TV series, including Flights of Fancy. The manga, this how it has got to me, for this as well. I think I like this manga a lot, even more than aside from the anime, though. Despite I have good taste in late 90s, early 2000s manga, though, this how it's got to for this as well. Of course, basically how I want to know of what I can stumble upon of this about the manga, because I just basically just realized for the of how I was more attention close to this. They just put like these adventures of mini goddesses on like it's like a spin-off of the original Oh My Goddess. They put it at the end of the chapters after in between the original manga, though. Well, I just thought I could figure it's like your little different take than any other ones. However, I did pay attention to the original manga more because it's got more attention the most as well. And at last, I finally read this one here. And this got to me, though, and that is Tenjo Tenge. However, this particular, in my opinion, though, because I just want to know what's happened in the Tenjo Tenge. It's like a more different than most shonen mangas this ever occurred, particularly as well. Yeah, because this how I wanted to know for the manga like Tenjo Tenge as well. Unlike most of them as well. Like, especially when the sword server ties between Maya and Aya, especially in the manga, though, as well. Especially of how deadliest high school, of how the bonds of the family, how the violently tested, of how Shin's tragic fate never repeats itself, when Mitsuomi and Maya temporarily putting aside the differences to hunt down when she's stolen the dangerously unstoppable and mystical sword. When Reiki Mitsuomi wanted to destroy the sword when she could lock it up, when Aya wants to hold on to it to make herself stronger, especially. Of how, like most of them as well, especially, I mean, if you like Air Master, if you like or Iki Tausen, give this manga a read, especially for Tenjo Tenge as well. Because I really want to get to the whole thing of how I've been a manga reader, that's why. So, that's what I got for here as well. So that's going to be it for my manga reading log for the month of March for this day here for today, guys. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's what I'm going to say for this one as well. Well, because I have picked about 10 manga titles from my manga collection because I do know of how I've been picking something to read like this as well, because I just must say is that I wanted to get to the whole thing of how I wanted to been reading manga as well. Just even though I have been reading a lot of manga, a lot more than I had with reading light novels, but manga is going to help me make me starting to become a manga reader a lot as well, particularly because I have 10 manga titles, 10 manga books that I picked from my manga collection that I always pick for my manga reading log. That's why every month as well. Hope subscribe for more content, Anime Planet Analyst, if you want to check them out, or any links. Check out the links, will be in the description down below if you want to check them out at your leisure at this point, though, as well. And also be sure to smack the like button if you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below in this video if you like as well. Just let me know if you like as well. And also be sure to click on the subscribe button. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, especially if you're new to my channel, because I'm starting getting into the Blu-rays and DVDs and around the town videos, as well as going on trip videos as well, as if you're wondering. and other cool ones I'm doing, especially for watching the channel. And also smack the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified also as well for more latest updates on here as well. And that's all I have what I got for today. Well, today is Friday. This is Rurouni K95 saying thank you for watching my video, and I'm glad you liked it. I hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. Hope you have a great day. This is Rurouni K95 signing off, and thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you soon for more videos. Take care. Bye.